Hi, this is Kaery with Kaery Concealed in the Active Self-Protection Extra channel, and we are at NRA Annual Meeting 2024, and on my way to get caffeine this morning for Miss Steph and I hit the brakes real fast as soon as I saw this display. And so I stopped and asked a bunch of questions, and Mr. Caleb, my man here, was happy to answer them. So let's talk about what this is and why it matters when we come back.
Palm pepper spray is next generation OC spray. It's hot at 1.4% major capsaicinoids, and its modular design means you can customize it exactly to you. 3 different setups, lots of different color combinations. You can make it exactly as you like. And the flip top safety prevents accidental discharges. It's 10 to 12 foot range and 25 half-second blasts. Make sure that you can keep that long range eye poke at long range. I trust Palm OC, and I recommend it for everyone for self-defense.
All right, welcome back. So recently, I have been doing a lot of research on fluted defensive rounds.
Yeah.
And most of the textbooks written about gunshot wounds don't include a ton of information about these.
Right.
So it hasn't been easy to find a lot of info. So as soon as I saw these, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to stop and ask about that.
Yeah.
So well, first of all, tell us a little about yourself and your company.
Yeah, so I'm Caleb with Underwood Ammo. We have the fun job of being able to shoot, test, and I'm a ballistic nerd, and so that's kind of what got me started in this. So. Was not really a math guy, but what I really do enjoy is a lot of the forensic side of things, the wound cavities, wound channels. That's really been my passion. I'm big on velocity and things like that, foot-pounds of energy, how all that stuff works together. So then it becomes a math nerd a little bit.
Sure.
And so that's what kind of got me started with Underwood, and that's what we got started with, and just ran to it because I'm a shooter. I shoot a lot. And the owner of Underwood, which is Kevin Underwood, believed in my vision, believed in my dream just as much as I believed in his vision and his dream. And so we just partnered together and made this thing work beautiful together. And we've grown the company quite a bit here in the last several years I've been there. And we'll continue to grow and just, appeal to different markets and different demographics and people. Yeah. And as yourself, as you saw, with some of the stuff you've done.
That's right. That's
absolutely.
Right.
So one of our biggest things that we do is solid coppers that we are really well known for. That's what's made us popular with 10 millimeter. 9 millimeter, and several other calibers, but those are 2 major calibers. So,
and what have you designed for those 2 calibers?
So we have what we call a stream penetrator, which will look like this exactly.
Okay.
To an extent, and the reason why I say that is because the nose is flat like this.
Yes.
It's more of a blunt nose.
Okay.
And it's for deeper penetration with thinner flutes. And so what will happen with the thinner flutes? Is it penetrates the deepest out of the 2.
Okay.
It is geared for woods carry, hunting, things like that.
Outdoors carry.
Absolutely.
You're not as concerned about over penetration.
Yes,
or that kind of thing. Okay.
You don't want it to hit somebody else, right? And so that's where you'll use this at.
Yeah.
But then we have the Extreme Defender, which is what we carry for our self-defense.
Okay.
And it beats a traditional hollow point. So when I was getting into the shooting industry and getting into guns and things like that, hollow points were the name of the game. I mean, that's what everybody uses. That's still what a lot of people use.
It's the standard.
It is.
Yeah.
And
doesn't mean it's the best, but
correct.
We don't know. The jury's out.
Yeah,
but
correct.
It's the standard.
Exactly.
Right now. Yeah.
And so we got into the defenders with the flutes like this. And what was really cool is it runs off of everything I like. It runs off of high speed, runs off of high foot-pounds of energy, low recoil. It's not a gimmick, and it runs off of fluid dynamic. And so the Defender looks like this, and what the Defender looks like is wider flutes like this, but it has more of a rounded nose, so it does not over-penetrate.
Okay.
Because the FBI does not want to go over 18 inches.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
12 to 18 inches is their penetration standard in ballistic gel.
Yes.
And then, now actually, before we talk about expansion, because that's not what these do. They're not designed to do that. They're designed to do other things. But I do happen to have firsthand knowledge. I won't say why, but and I have some colleagues also who have seen these used. Or have helped out in situations where these have been used.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at the pictures of what has happened, it's very different than what happens with the traditional hollow point round.
Right.
So the hollow point round begins to expand.
On contact.
On contact, right. Tell us a little about the flutes, what they do.
So this does not expand. It's not an expanding bullet.
But it's still a defensive round.
It is 100% a defensive round. It's not a full metal jacket, as you see. So what happens is this bullet is created to run off a fluid dynamic. So and it's considered barrier blind.
Okay.
And so what it does, like for example, I think
you're my kind of guy. You're like watching out for me, and I appreciate that.
No problem. So it runs off a fluid dynamic. And what the fluid dynamic is what I'm talking about. It becomes barrier blind. And so
barrier blind.
Barrier blind.
It doesn't even
So basically what I'm saying is if I shoot this through a windshield, car door, drywall, somebody's kicking in your door, your front door, and you shoot, you don't have to worry about this expanding and potentially just injuring or wounding your target or your assailant, or not even penetrating the body at all, where then you could be harmed, or your family or loved ones.
You just want the threat to stop.
You want the threat to stop.
Absolutely.
And so this bullet does exactly that.
Okay.
And so what it does is it'll go through that, and it'll still give you your penetration depth. So for example, let me give you a quick example.
Yeah.
The 68 grain plus P is my favorite. It's one I carry a 9mm. And it's moving at 1,800 feet per second, 489 foot-pounds of energy through a 4-inch barrel. So if you shoot through a longer barrel, you get better ballistics, even faster.
Sure.
Now, what that being said is I know it gives me 18 inches all the time, consistently. If I shoot that through that drywall or that door or that windshield, I'm still going to get 18 inches once it hits that fluid.
Wow.
So what beats a hollow point is a hollow point, let's say the hollow point traditionally gives you 15 inches, but you shoot through a sheet metal, windshield, drywall, that thing might stop only at 12 inches. It might not even penetrate. It might not even open up. On this bullet, you don't have to worry about any of those things.
You don't have to worry about counting on it opening up.
Correct.
Or hoping that it opens.
Correct.
Because it doesn't. It's not designed to open.
Correct.
It does its work without needing that.
Absolutely. And so we did some testing, and we worked with some engineers. I think it was from Boeing. Don't quote me on the Boeing part, but
You're right.
it was
It
Boeing.
is actually, because when I was thinking
I
to
think it was
the owner,
Boeing. So once they enter the wound cavity and it fills the fluid, it actually performs about 30% faster inside the cavitation. So let's say it's moving at 1,800 feet per second. Once it enters that cavity and fills the liquid gel type substance, it speeds up.
Holy cow.
33% faster. And that's what makes it even more devastating. And it tears up the whole entire internal wound cavity. It'll break open bones. You know, people use the penetrator and 10mm for like grizzly bear and stuff like that. It'll bust open the skull of those things as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So many applications for
Absolutely.
this.
Solid copper is harder than lead, so you don't have to worry about it ever deforming, no matter what it hits.
Oh, what it's made out? What's it?
Solid copper.
Oh, okay. I wondered about that.
So people use lead bullets deform.
Oh my
and
gosh,
they will break
it's so
the
soft.
shear.
So
Absolutely.
copper's much harder.
Way harder.
Okay.
The metal energy is way harder, so therefore you don't have to worry about anything breaking off, shearing, or the performance of it changing.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about the flutes. Like we were talking about, some were narrow flutes and some were wider flutes.
So on the Defender, the flutes will become wider, and the reason why is so it can slow down faster into the gelatin-like substance.
So it will stay inside
the body.
So it stays inside
and does not penetrate. Correct. Now the penetrator is going to exit, and that is by design because the flutes are thinner. We want it to exit. We want it to penetrate as deep as possible. So if you're using an elk hunt, if you're going on a grizzly bear, whatever it might be, you want it to penetrate as deep as possible and still give you a crazy wide wound cavity. It looks like a boat propeller in water. If you've ever seen a boat propeller in water, you see the cavitation that it leaves behind it. That's what this does.
Okay.
So start seeing connecting the dots.
I actually grew up on a lake and still live on a lake.
So you know how the water
exactly
looks.
What you're talking about. And cavitation, I know, and that actually can cause problems with the propeller sometimes if the pitch of the dealy bobbies isn't right. Okay, that's interesting.
Absolutely.
So the one that, so the wider flutes?
Wider flutes would be for your Defender and has more of a rounded nose. So it doesn't over-penetrate over 18 inches. And then the penetrator has thinner flutes and a blunt nose, and it will over-penetrate 18 inches. So like, for example.
What's that designed for?
Woods, bear,
outdoors.
people hunt, people that's worried about maybe a predator in the woods that could attack them, that has 4 legs and sharp teeth.
Right.
It's perfect for that.
Moose are horrible.
They are.
Where in part of the country I live, my goodness, the damage moose do to humans is mind-blowing.
Absolutely. So we want to make sure you're confident when you're carrying this in the woods.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that nothing will get in the way of that. Nothing will stop the performance of what it does.
So do you sell more of your these rounds in Alaska?
Oh my God, yes. So the Alaskans love this, and they love our hard cast. So it's like a dual both. And I'll talk to guys sometimes. They'll call me and they say, "Hey, can I just stagger my magazine? Can I do one hard cast lead bullet? Can I do another extreme penetrator solid copper, then a hard cast, and then another extreme penetrator?" I'm like, "Sure." Guys like it. The good thing about penetrators, though, and the solid copper, is that since it's 100% copper and it's harder, what happens is the bullet is less in weight, and that's by design because it's about lightweight, fast-moving projectiles.
Less recoil then.
Bingo. So then your follow-up shots are faster than traditional lead bullets because you are faster on target and it's just so much flatter, farther distances.
So what's the bullet weight on these for a 9mm?
So 9mm, 68 and 90 grain.
Holy cow. That's a lot.
It is. So and for copper it is, because lead bullets are heavier by tradition. But this is a solid copper. So then on 10mm, it's 140 grain, for the solid copper, and then we have this extreme defenders in 10 millimeter. Currently it's 100 grain and 115.
Okay.
You will see the 100 grain probably go away, but the 115 will stay for sure.
Very good.
And it's all about high speed. You got to push these as fast as you can, and that's where you get your optimal defensive wound cavity that you get out of these.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, Mr. Caleb and I have both happened to see some pictures of damage that this has done.
Yes.
And even hitting bone, like on the way into a cavity.
Correct.
It still, the pictures we happened to see, it still kept moving.
Absolutely.
So, and that's, and I mean moving.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, and moving all the way through.
Absolutely.
The transfer, it's interesting.
Absolutely, yeah. So denim, you don't have to worry about ever clogging it up or slowing it down or stopping it.
Okay.
Plywood, drywood, sheet metal, like I said, windshield. You ain't gonna worry about any of those things. And then don't have to worry about the deflecting your trajectory either.
I'd asked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Because normally if you're outside the vehicle shooting into a vehicle, so cars coming at you, you're gonna get deflection, as it enters that windshield.
Correct.
Usually,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And you don't have to worry about with these bullets at all.
Good stuff. Well, Mr. Caleb and I were talking, and I'm definitely gonna be ordering some of this so that I can do some testing. So watch the channel for some of that. We'll shoot through some car doors and even some windshields, and let's just see what it does.
Absolutely. That's the fun stuff.
Yeah, apparently, you're good at that. Apparently, these make the X shape as they go through.
Absolutely. Paper. If you see them on paper, you will see literally once it exits the paper, you will see this shape inside of the paper, and when you hit the paper, so it's pretty cool. So you'll see the same thing when it enters the wound cavity of whatever you're shooting.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's pretty awesome. It's fun, and it's really interesting.
Job.
Well,
you have a great job.
You know what? I can't complain.
And this is a family-run country?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I can't complain. So.
Well, I think we're getting the nod that you got to get back to work, but.
Okay.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Caleb. I appreciate your time, and thanks for the information.
Absolutely, Ms. Kaery. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. I love talking about this stuff, and hopefully we can do some things together.
Absolutely.
I'll send you some ammo. We'll do some more ballistic testing and see how fun we can make it.
I like it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Come
Kaery.
back next week, and we'll have some fun.
All right. Thank you.